This white rhinoceros is actually one of the last of its kind in this planet. It is attacked and frozen by an unknown individual. In a bid to save its life, it is being rushed to the hospital. This animal, however, is used to intense heat, so the doctors try to warm him up before the cold blood goes to his heart by injecting adrenaline. But unfortunately, the patient's skin is too frozen for the needle to get through. So they try to save him by using a defibrillator, which is a machine that delivers controlled electric shock to a patient's heart. But while the doctor is trying to revive him, the hospital's power is cut short. But a fast-thinking doctor decides to use another method. He jumps forward to a fishbowl and grabs an electric eel, then proceeds to the patient. He counts to 3, then puts the fish on the patient's body. After a few seconds, the patient started breathing and became stabilized to his normal body temperature. The fast-thinking doctor had just saved an endangered species' life. This animal movie begins with an undercover animal trying to collect a package from someone. But it doesn't go as planned. The package is hijacked by some criminals. So another agent notices this and goes after the criminals to retrieve the package. This agent goes as far as hijacking a civilian's motorcycle in a hurry. As the agent chases the criminals, he destroys many community buildings while trying to retrieve the package. His fellow agent even gets injured. While this was going on, the criminal managed to escape but crashes into a restaurant, which makes the agent catch up with him and arrest him. Moving on, it is explained that the agent who retrieved the package is a cat named Vladimir Willis, who is one of the best top secret agents working for his country. He is asked to meet his boss in his office after the mission. Vladimir heads into his boss's office expecting an award for his last mission, but gets yelled at by his boss, who informs him of the mayor's complaints about the properties that were destroyed because of Agent Willis. His boss decides to give him a disciplinary assignment, so he demotes him to a security job at an offshore facility where he is to guard some materials. Vladimir is displeased with his new mission but reluctantly goes. Upon his arrival at the facility, he finds out he would be living with the agent's bested expert, who is a rat named Hector. Hector is a dirty and unorganized agent, which is the exact opposite of Vladimir. Hector loves to play games and has lived alone in the facility for a long time, so he is very excited to finally have a roommate and a best friend in Vladimir. But Agent Willis has no intention of being his friend. As the days pass, Vladimir has a routine lifestyle that he despises. He shaves, eats the same food, stays in the same place, and sees Hector watch a soap opera every day, where Hector fantasizes about his favorite actress Mia, whom he is in love with. One day, 3 invaders arrived at the facility, but Vladimir and Hector did not notice this in time. This is because Hector was fighting Vladimir for making fun of his favorite actress. During this fight, Vladimir sees the red light, which is the signal for intruders. The pair then get their weapons and begin to fight the intruders. Although they put up a good fight, the intruders escaped with a radiousite cylinder that they were supposed to protect from stealing. But the intruders forget a book which discloses that they work from a hospital. As a result of the recent theft, Vladimir and Hector both inform their boss of the theft and their clue. Their boss proceeds to give them permission to go undercover in the hospital to retrieve the stolen material, but informs them they would have to work together. The pair were displeased about this but had no choice. When they both get to the hospital, Vladimir drugs Hector and takes him into the hospital. He disguised himself as a nurse helping Vector, who is disguised as a sick patient, but he pushes him off the staircase the minute he saw no one looking at him. Then heads to the reception to introduce himself as Rex the dog. The receptionist, in a carefree attitude, gives him directions to the doctor's office. Then Vladimir starts searching through various rooms for any clues that may lead him to the invaders. Meanwhile, Hector regains his consciousness on the staircase and starts looking for Vladimir. He starts entering different wards, but to no avail. Vladimir, on the other hand, was in the waiting room when he saw the news of an endangered white rhinoceros, who got frozen by an unknown individual. Vladimir finds it very suspicious but continues his search for clues. Then he meets up with some nurses trying to push the same frozen white rhinoceros he saw on the television in the waiting room. But one nurse caught his attention, a beautiful white rabbit who looked so elegant and graceful. He overhears her asking for help on her walkie-talkie. So Vladimir, being a top spy, immediately thought of a faster way. He put an extinguisher under the patient's bed and carried the patient's daughter on top of the bed, and tells everyone to hold tight. Then he kicks open the extinguisher and the bed flew in seconds to the operating room. In the operating room, the doctor begins a scan of the patient and realizes it is a severe case of hypothermia. This means the patient is accustomed to intense heat but has suddenly been exposed to a glacial cold. So he decides they have to warm the patient up quickly because if the cold blood continues to go to his heart, he would die. While this is going on, Vladimir tries to speak to the patient on the unknown individual that attacked him, but he gave him no clues. The doctors first try to inject some adrenaline into the patient, but its skin is too frozen, so they try to use a defibrillator. While using this, the power is cut short. This is all because of two nurses who were trying to fix the vending machine and accidentally unplugged the hospital's electricity. As this happened, the patient stops breathing, so Vladimir immediately uses his spy glasses to figure out a way to save the patient. He rushes to pick an electric fish and uses the fish as a defibrillator on the patient. Some seconds after the fish touches the rhino's chest, the patient comes back to life and starts breathing. His body temperature is restored back to normal and immediately he regains consciousness. At this moment, the power is put back on by the nurses, who rejoice that they saved the vending machine. But while rejoicing, one of the nurses, which is a snake, gets entangled in the vending machine and mistakenly drinks coffee, which turns him into a fire-breathing dragon snake. Cut to the operation theater. Vladimir leaves the operating room with the White Rabbit doctor. She introduces herself as Chloe. Vladimir, in return, introduces himself as Rex, a nurse. Just then, the snake who turned into a monstrous dragon after drinking coffee rushes to them to attack. Apparently, this is not the first time he drank coffee, so Chloe didn't seem surprised. She immediately rushed to get an injection and tries shooting the snake with it. Vladimir jumps on top of the snake to tame it, but it is too fast and wobbly. Chloe aims rightly, but by the time the side effects of the injection show on the snake, they are high up in the air and about to fall down. So Chloe quickly ties a hose to herself, jumps for the pair, and saves them. On the other side of the story, Hector is found by some nurses who believe he is mentally unwell, so they take him to the psychiatric ward for mentally unwell patients. After a few minutes, Hector realizes where he is and starts looking for a way to escape from the ward. However, he finally did it with help of some of his mentally unwell friends. As soon as he escapes, he begins searching for Vladimir once again and finds him talking to Chloe. Vladimir then shuts Hector up, waves Chloe goodnight, and takes Hector to a ward. Hector starts an argument over Vladimir for abandoning him, forgetting that they are partners. And Vladimir tells Hector he is useless. As Hector is about to leave the room, Vladimir picks up a notebook and finds out the ward which they are in belongs to the rhino. But he isn't here, which meant the rhino has been kidnapped. But by who? As the pair were lost in thought, the director of the hospital, who is also the head doctor, is on his way to the ward with the popular actress Mia. The two spies then hide under the bed. The doctor enters the ward and offers Mia the ward because it is the largest in the hospital. And he informs her of her antenna reduction surgery holding tomorrow and then leaves her. Mia then picks up her phone and has a conversation with someone about stealing a nuclear weapon one more time. Upon hearing this, Vladimir busted out from the bed and confronted her about her call, then finds out her phone was not a phone but a recorder, and that she was rehearsing her lines for a new role as a spy. She tells him she needs to get her antenna reduced for the role, and that is why she is here. Hector then introduces himself as her biggest fan, and starts taking pictures with her. Vladimir, in disappointment, tries to leave, but Mia bribes him to teach her how to be a spy and convinces him she will not tell the press and everyone that he is not a nurse, but a spy. Vladimir unwillingly agrees to her deal. Out of excitement that he would be working with his favorite actress, Hector tells Mia the mission. Then Mia realizes that if the rhino was in this ward, the doctor should know where he is now. So they all head out to find the doctor, but he is nowhere to be found. They overhear two bat nurses talking about meeting the doctor, so they follow them quietly. As the nurses enter the elevator, Vladimir and Hector spread out to find them on the other floor. But they were gone. Mia then whispers to the boys that there could be a secret floor from the elevator. They all enter the elevator and Hector the genius decides to hack the elevator. He successfully hacks it and they find themselves on an unknown floor where they see clues about an experiment and pictures of the doctor with his nurse. They also find an old videotape. As they keep searching the floor, they come across many things like the materials that were stolen from the facility and some high-tech spy equipment. Then Mia finds some suits, which the boys remember as the exact same ones the intruders wore to steal the materials from them. As they keep searching, they see the bat nurses taking the rhino somewhere, so they quietly follow the bats. Vladimir then yells at them to halt with intention of arresting them. But the demon of the cold suddenly enters the building. Vladimir recognizes the demon of the cold from the TV, so he and Hector start fighting the demon. But the demon defeats them. It even tries to kill Vladimir, but Hector saves him by shooting the demon's arm. After the demon leaves, Hector comes to the conclusion that the doctor is the one in the demon suit they just encountered, and he is stealing radio light to power his suit. Vladimir tells them they have proof to arrest the doctor. He shows them the hair he grabbed off the monster while fighting it. so they all head back to Mia's ward, where she is treating Vladimir's wounds. Hector, on the other hand, is running a genetic test on the hair sample, but his machine tells him the specie is extinct and it would need further diagnosis. Vladimir gets confused on how a bear is extinct, so Hector runs the test further. The next day, Mia goes for her antenna reduction surgery, but it is postponed due to unforeseen circumstances. So Vladimir and Hector then head into town to find a store to watch the VHS tape they found. When they find a store and play the tape, they find out the video was recorded 20 years ago by the doctor, who said he was on the Mammoth Island to perform an experiment to help the mammoths. He says that global warming has caused the Earth's temperature to go up by 1 degree each year. And because of these unfavorable weather conditions, the mammoths were disappearing as the mist that regulates their climate is becoming rare. He says he is there to save them. Thanks to his experiment, he will change the world. He says it is all thanks to his machine, which runs on radiolight that he and his nurse created. He says the machine will be able to save this land and may be able to save the planet in a few years. So he switches it on and it starts working and bringing life to dead flowers and plants. But an error occurs in the machine that increases its voltage and causes it to freeze the whole land. On the other hand, Hector's machine has finished running the test and shows the hair belongs to a mammoth. But Mia wonders how it could be possible because mammoths have been extinct for years. Hector and Vladimir, after watching the tape, start to piece the information together and realize the bear doctor destroyed all the species of mammoths 20 years ago because he is evil, and he is now trying to exterminate the white rhinos. The pair resolve to tell their boss of their findings. As they inform him of it all, their boss congratulates them and informs them the doctor would be arrested. But Hector then notices an injury on his boss's hand, the same hand he shot at while fighting the demon of the cold. While this was going on, the boss's secretary mistakenly put files on the boss's drink table, which opens a secret compartment that had the demon of the cold suit. The boss then threw 3 of them in a prison. In prison, Vladimir met a cheetah prisoner that hated him. Hector asked the cheetah if he could play his game, and the cheetah agreed, telling him it is hard. But Hector, being a game addict, finished it in minutes. The cheetah then explained he never wanted to leave the prison till he finished his game. But now that he is done, he can leave. So he showed them the map on his back that shows how to leave the prison. So they all escaped together. After escaping the prison, they both went to the hospital's secret floor to arrest the doctor. But they meet Chloe, whom they find out is a former martial arts agent in their department. And she always knew who they were since the first day. She takes them to see the truth for themselves. They enter a large room filled with so much land and with many rare species of animals in bubbles of their own habitats. She explains they needed a powerful energy source to carry out their research. So they stole radiolite materials. Even the white rhino and his daughter are here and greet Vladimir. The bear doctor explains to them his dream, which is to control global warming so that all races can be able to survive. He explains that in this room he can control the world's climate. And since the extinction of Mammoth Island, he had hated himself since that day. So Hector informs him that one mammoth still exists, and he is the captain of the agency and is also the demon of the cold as well. Vladimir informs the doctor of the need to evacuate the premises because the agents are on their way to arrest him. Later on, the agents arrive at the hospital and meet the doctor and the spies. The agents announce they would be arresting the doctor, but Vladimir and Hector refuse to allow them to take him. So a fight ensues between both parties, and when Hector realizes they are too small to win, he released his mentally unwell friends who joined to help them fight the agents. All doctors and medical workers in the building came out as well to help the doctor against the agents. The nurse even handed a coffee to the snake, which made him turn into a fire-breathing dragon snake. The agents, on seeing the fire-breathing snake, ran away from the hospital. As the spies and nurses were rejoicing, the demon of the cold enters the hospital and begins freezing everyone, including the snake. On seeing this, the doctor steps forward and asks the demon of the cold to take him instead of harming anyone else. So the demon of the cold starts to explain how his father put him on a boat to go far away, because he didn't trust the doctor and his inventions. He said he watched his own land and specie go extinct right in his eyes and swore to avenge them. The demon removes its mask after his story, and it is the agent captain. He tells the doctor he will freeze everything he knows so he can feel the pain he felt many years ago. Vladimir, Hector, and Chloe then rush their boss to destroy the radiolite that gives his suit power, but he ends up defeating them, freezing Chloe, and trying to freeze Vladimir, but Hector goes in front of him to save him. From nowhere, Mia enters the building and orders the captain to stop immediately. Mia, being a bee princess, tells him she has called her sisters to her aid. The captain informs Mia her sisters are nothing to him, and the agency scrambled all transmissions at the perimeter. 8 sisters arrive first. They are the navigators. The captain laughed at the princess. Little did he know that those 8 were guiding thousands of bee sisters from all over the world to attack him. When the sisters arrived, a fight ensued. The captain tries to freeze them, but they are too many for him. As they all distract him, Vladimir picks a gun and shoots the captain's radio light and destroys his suit. Then the captain holds Mia hostage with a gun to her head. But the doctor suddenly brings a young female mammoth and she tells the captain that the doctor saved her life many years ago and he is a good person. So the captain surrendered. Later on, the doctor used radio light to unfreeze everyone. In the aftermath of the movie, Mia gets her role as a spy without reducing her antenna and hires Hector as her personal bodyguard, while Vladimir and Chloe start dating. This is where the movie ends. See you soon with a new movie recap video. Till then, stay happy and chill out.